when I when I think about caregiving, I think about caring for my mom and dad. They were in their late 80s and they had moved into a community. My mom had dementia, and as as we know, dementia is a horrible disease, but there are times when there are wonderful, funny comments or conversations that just warm our hearts. And I have a favorite story that I think of. My husband and I had only been married 5 years, and being an only child, my parents thought I was never going to get married. So they were beyond thrilled when I did get married. And they loved Bruce. We're very thankful that he was part of the family. My mom adored Bruce. And when I say adored, I mean adored. And my dad and I joked that he and I kind of were moved quickly to number two and number three favorites because Bruce took the number one spot. That's how much he was loved. And anyway, one evening I was with my mom in her room and I said, Mom, I'm sorry, but I need to go. I need to go home. And she said, Oh, no, you don't. You can stay. And I said, Well, I need to go home and have dinner with Bruce. And she looked at me. She had this perplexed look on her face. And she said, You have a Bruce too? And I contained the outburst of laughter that was happening inside. And I just looked at her and I said, Yes, I do. And it is wonderful. And I said, Everybody needs a Bruce. And she laughed and said, Yes. And so it still gives me chill bumps just to think about that moment of, I don't know if she thought he was her husband, her boyfriend, her favorite brother, or who, but it warmed my heart then and it warms my heart now. So caregiving definitely has its challenges, but it definitely has its blessings.
Well, hello, this is Don,
And this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
and this is podcast number 214, 2014. Today we're talking with Robin Elbertson, Senior Living Care Advisor with Assisted Living Locators. Robin is a Charlotte, North Carolina native who has been spent most of her life here in the area, with time away for college at Asheville and Alabama, and 5 meaningful years serving in Africa with a mission organization. After returning home, Robin began working with Senior Care Agency, where she formed a deep bond with the senior clients that helped her shape her calling. She later joined a local hospital's faith and health department, connecting patients who lacked resources with volunteers and practical support throughout the community. As her own parents entered their mid-80s, she founded We Care for Seniors, a personal assistant and concierge service designed to help older adults thrive with dignity and independence. In January 2025, she expanded her work by joining Assisted Living Locators as an independent contractor, guiding seniors and their loved ones through the process of finding the right for independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Robin finds great joy serving and advocating for seniors, bringing compassion, clarity, and a steady presence to families during the seasons of transitions. So, Robin, thank you so much for being part of this. This is going to be, I think I can already see it's a good, I love that story. That was the best story, because it does talk about what we talk about, dementia and like you say, the challenges, but also those fun times. I mean, Gina's seen fun times with her dad going through it. So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for having me.
so I was kind of curious, in your bio, it talks a lot about you've been in it for a long time doing the working with seniors.
Mhm.
What started that interest even to want to join a senior job like that?
When I think back, My parents loved hospitality, having people in their home. So I was around a lot of times their friends who were quite a bit older. I have wonderful memories sitting around a table eating my mom's famous spaghetti and just laughing and getting to know them and them loving me and me loving them. I just realized that, gosh, I just love seniors. And so that's what I chose when I returned from Africa, was to work for a senior caregiving agency. And then I started my business after I kind of had a period of I wasn't working full time and was noticing my parents decline somewhat. They were just eating more fast food, they were sleeping more. And I was over there a lot more with them, but I was thankful that I had that opportunity. And I remember when I moved my mom and my dad into a community, I told a friend, I think I'm going to start a little side business for seniors. And she looked at me and she said, Robin, we are not starting a little side business. There is a legitimate need out there, and you have a gift and a love for seniors, and you need a job. So I just kind of went down that path, and she helped coach me with starting my business, because when you think about starting a business, it's very overwhelming if it's not your natural
Yeah. Tell me about it.
natural bent. And so she and another friend coached me, and I did that for several years. I still have my personal assistant business, but I'm focusing more on working with assisted living locators.
Mhm.
After the loss of both my mom and my dad within 10 months, the grief was just pretty intense, and not only the loss of my parents, but grieving the loss of some of my clients that I had come to love, and for them needing more care. So I knew I wanted to stay in the senior space, and this opportunity pretty much was just dropped into my lap with assisted living locators. And I thought, what a great way to continue to help seniors, whether it's personal assistant or helping them find the right fit. So it's been a wonderful journey of seeing that plan be woven together.
Well, kind of curious, it sounds like you get very involved with your the families that you're dealing with. Is that it? Sounds. I mean, we've talked to other, locators with other people working with seniors, and they don't quite have that same zest that you do for. So I'm
Mm.
just kind of curious, how much do you get involved with them, and when you're working with them?
I love people, and seniors to me are just amazing and funny and a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, and I just gravitate to them. Some people gravitate more to children or teenagers, adults. God's wired me to be attached and attracted to seniors. So I do love walking with families, and this job just provides me a wonderful opportunity to walk with people from the beginning through the entire process of finding the right fit, which oftentimes is very overwhelming,
I
very
see.
overwhelming. And I've walked that road myself. I also think that's where a lot of the passion comes
Mhm.
from, is because I've lived it.
Hmm. Yeah, when you go through that firsthand, I can so appreciate that. I'm an occupational therapist by trade, so I've worked with seniors a long time, but then helping my mom caring for my dad who had Parkinson's with dementia. it's a whole different place to be in when you're a family
It,
member.
it is. It just opens up your eyes to so many things. And so I do an assessment. I ask them what their needs are. I arrange the tours when we pick out a few places. I
Mhm.
go with them. I'm an advocate with them. And then even after they've moved in, I like to check in and say, how are things going?
Oh,
And
okay.
and where can I help? What can I do? I don't just want to help people find the right fit. I tell people, see me as a resource for all things seniors.
Hmm.
If I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does.
That's wonderful.
So
And I would imagine you have quite a few different connectors of all different sorts for that. Would that be true?
correct. I'm from Charlotte, born and raised here, except when I lived a few years overseas and for school. But this is home. It is home. And even in the last year or several years since I've been having my own business, I've made a lot of wonderful connections. And there's so much out there that
Mhm.
people just do not know.
Yeah.
And so I like to, yes, this is my work, but just like what you, Don and Gina are doing, a lot of it is education.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to share your knowledge to help people because
Sure.
people do feel alone. They do
Mhm.
feel anxious and nervous. And I love just being that calming force for families.
Sure.
Well, and speaking of that, like, what kind of challenges do you run into then, with doing this?
Right. That is a good question. I think, well, one of the things I think of that I've heard from people pretty often, seniors that have decided to move, if I've heard it once, I've heard it several times, is I wish I would have done this sooner.
Mm.
I wish I would not have waited till it was crunch time,
Mm,
or I have a physical ailment that really prevents me from downsizing or looking at places the way I want to. It's challenging because I go to these expos or different things and they're wonderful, but oftentimes people will say, well, I'm not there yet.
yeah,
And
and they
just
probably don't want to admit that they're
right.
even close to it.
But
And
then on the
so
flip
I
side, they're saying, yeah, I wish I had done it sooner.
right. So I just want to say you're nowhere near that now, but it's really good to have plan A as ideal situation. But what is plan B? And
Mhm.
what is plan C?
I was going to
And
say, how far does that go down?
to really think about. So just the balance of I definitely don't want to be pushy at all, and I don't feel like I am, but just really trying to help people to see that communication with family is key, to
Mhm.
have a plan, and what
Mhm.
if the best case scenario doesn't happen. So
Right.
just trying to help people. And I don't know that that's a challenge. It just can be sad when you're in a situation and it is crunch time and the
Mhm.
Mhm.
place that they want has a 2-year waiting list
Mhm.
or less,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. Yeah. Finding the place is challenging. I know the Charlotte area is large and many options, but still there's often waiting lists for the best places. And
But there are some good, very good places that do not have long waiting lists. And there are so many options. That's when I speak with people either on an individual basis. I also speak to groups, whether it's a 55 and over community or a church group or a civic organization, which I love to do, is just trying to educate them on what are the options. There are just numerous options and good options out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, were you going to say something? I don't
Well,
want to.
I work in an independent living community right now, and people don't realize moving someone out of their home might mean more social opportunities. If they're in a community where there's other people, they can dine with people. And so sometimes it's really beneficial getting someone who's alone, widowed, whatever, and needs a little extra assistance in some fashion, that it can be enhancing to their life to have that.
Gina,
Your
you
mom.
were so right. That's what I saw with my mom and dad. I mean, their social life was reduced to doctor's appointments, church once a week, and funerals.
Mm.
That was what it was. And my dad was very social. My mom, she was more quiet and was fine to be on her own in her home, but the benefit of moving to an independent living community that provided 3 meals a day, and as you said, at a table with other seniors, the benefits of that far outweighed the stress of downsizing, cleaning out. It was wonderful.
Yeah. It helps other people, I think, to hear those stories, that it can, you know, just be a great benefit. And I think it's tougher the longer people have lived in their home. I don't know if you found that, but people who have been there 40, 50 years or more that don't want to leave home.
I raised my kids here and I'm going to die here and I don't want to live here. So, yes. And my dad, if he said it once, he said it 20 times. When after they moved, he said, "Sweetheart, I know mom and I didn't want to do this for a little bit, for a while, but we are so glad that you and Bruce had the foresight to encourage us to make this move because we didn't know how much we needed it."
Oh, wow.
That was wonderful to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. It
we
is.
could just get that message to people early at the. But yeah,
Yes,
So how do
yes.
people find you? You said you work mostly through, I'm going to forget the name of the company now, but
assisted living locators.
Yes, it's the living locators. I have an email, Robin and the letter E as in echo at assistedlivinglocators.com. And then my phone number is 980-446-9065.
and we'll share that on the
Yeah, we'll
description
put
so
that up
people
there
can
too.
find that. So through assisted locators, how do you get your clients? Like, um, do they contact you through that service, or?
They can, but pretty much all of mine have come through personal connections,
Okay.
just friends and living here all my life. I am starting to work on building some referral sources through partnerships with caregiving agencies, real estate agents, lawyers, doctors' offices. What I say and think is everyone knows a senior or knows someone that may be in that transition phase. So those are the ways I'm getting my clients. I just feel so blessed to have this job. I love it so much.
That's wonderful that you care so much, because yeah, there's people's lives. And I
Mhm.
know I've worked in nursing homes and other settings where people have gone through rehab services, and people sometimes forget this person before them. They've lived a whole life. They've not always been this person who fell and broke their hip or had a stroke or whatever that's presenting at that time.
Mhm.
I love working in communities like I am now in independent living. I'm in their space. I see their family photos. It makes a great way to connect with them, um,
Yes.
to see the big picture of who they are and knowing that that information can be shared. I know many communities where I work, they have a hall of veterans
Yes,
listed and different things like that for people to learn about the other people. So
I love that. They definitely have a story to tell, and the more time we can spend with them, the better.
mhm.
So
I
is
think,
it just as a kind of starting to wrap up here, do you what you've mentioned a couple of tips so far, but give us maybe a tip or two that you might want to get out there to people uh, to that are in this place.
right. Well, definitely just don't wait till you break something and you're in rehab and you need to find a place to go. Have that plan in place and start having those conversations, whether you are the adult child or you're the senior adult. Start having those family conversations. They are not easy, they are hard. Nobody wants to have them, but it's better to have them sooner than later. And I cannot stress that enough. And
Yeah,
it and just to, I think I heard someone say, if it's a challenging conversation, it doesn't have to share everything. Okay, sit down, we're having a family meeting, we're figuring this out today.
Mhm.
Somebody called it just drip on people. You drop a
yeah,
little comment here, you drop a little comment there. You say, hey, we're not anywhere near this, but so and so works at this community. Why don't we go visit them and have lunch? Or a friend's
Mhm.
living in this community. Let's just little things along the way to start the conversation.
Yeah, what you're saying is perfect, and we reiterate that all the time, because unfortunately, a lot of times it comes up as a, "Oh, now what do we do?" Um,
or you're stuck at a hospital going, okay, where am I going to go with it? I can't go back
Yes.
here. So, yeah. You also mentioned the idea of long-term care as a possibility, I think, in your tips too, if I remember right.
Right. If people have, long-term care plans, they may be a veteran. There are resources out there to see if someone qualifies for what is called aid and attendance.
okay.
And even if they have been told, no, you don't qualify, I would encourage them to reach out to me. I have a great connection that can verify that because you want to be absolutely sure
Mhm.
from the right source that you do not qualify for aid and attendance, which can be a significant amount of money to help with long-term care.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and I know
that,
some people. Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry.
Um, yeah, some people, even with long-term care insurance, I know sometimes it'll help pay for assisted living versus nursing home, and I know that areas, I don't know very much about it. I just know, um, that's information that people, again, planning ahead if they have something like that in place and finding out what exactly it covers. Do you have connections as far as helping people with that as well?
Yeah,
Veterans benefits?
there's yes, just connecting them with a gentleman that's very knowledgeable and even walks if he feels like they're a great candidate to help walk them through, connect them with the right resource. It's well worth their time to even just
Mhm.
have a 5-10 minute conversation with him to be
Sure.
to see. Yes,
And I know different organizations. My mom found through the Parkinson's Association of her county that they helped pay for caregivers. And so I always tell people to reach out to different organizations like that because sometimes there's funding out there to help you with the cost of things. And they think, oh, I just
yes.
can't afford it. I can't afford it.
Yeah, don't I that's a great tip, Gina. Thank you for, don't just assume I can't afford it, I can't do this. Contact me, we'll connect you with resources to find out what is available. That's a great tip. Well, don't just say it can never happen. You don't know until you look into it. And there are resources, like there's a program through Medicare that some caregiving agencies offer care for individuals with dementia. So
Mhm,
that they will provide, it's kind of like a respite.
mhm.
It's like a respite care time so the caregiver can take a break. And they've been provided so many hours of care for the loved one with dementia. There
Sure.
are resources out there. Don, I did want to mention it's not a challenge, but I would just encourage people, if they are looking for help or need someone like myself, to contact me first. There are, yeah, I'd be happy to help them if they want to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you go online, sometimes you are connecting to another resource out there. We are a no-cost service for
Okay.
individuals.
I know when you look online for resource and things, it can be confusing to find, who do I have to go through? I know I was looking for a memory care facility for my dad, and I know there's some of the companies they go through an agency, and it's like I wanted to just directly talk to the places. Being an occupational therapist, I knew what I was looking for, and so you're an independent person who's assisting people, so it's not because I don't, some of those agencies I don't know if they have particular connections with certain communities, if there's any kind of biases there, but it sounds like what you're saying is you operate independently and can really help the person navigate through those things.
People do go online and they don't know they're connected with an agency, a nationwide agency. Their name goes to these communities first. That blocks me out of being the referral contact. And then
Oh,
I don't get paid. So that's why I'm
interesting.
saying,
Okay.
because it's all based on who is the first point of contact. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
why I like to emphasize, call me first before you start looking online. Call Robin.
Well, and
Then
the thing about it is that it's not as much about the money for you as you want to be there to be able to help them. That other agency is they're gonna go one place. That's what they do. They can't guide them on other places, other things, and that's where you come in, and that makes a big
right.
difference. So I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I think it's very wise to say that. So
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I went through that other company not knowing. I still had to make all the calls. I
yeah,
still had to
yeah,
do all the arranging. I still had to go by myself. So I am boots on the ground,
Hmm.
holding someone's hand, saying, we're going to walk this road together.
yeah,
You are
yeah.
not alone. And
Hmm.
that is what I love about
Yeah.
what I do.
Well, Robin, it's been really wondrous to talk with you today. We really thank you for spending the time and sharing your knowledge with it. And you've got a lot of good knowledge in this industry. And so we will have you up there and give you all that information out there so people can find you.
Yeah, it's great to have someone so personally invested. Having that firsthand experience too makes a big difference. And that information, right? People need the knowledge to know how to make the decisions.
Thank you both. I do want to say one thing.
Sure.
We are located all throughout the country. So if someone isn't in the Charlotte area, I can still connect them with another assisted living locators franchise
Yeah.
in the country. We have over 150
Oh, that's
offices.
wonderful. Okay. Okay. So if they're outside, yeah, because our listeners do span across the country, yeah, that they could still get in contact with assisted living locators to find out someone in their area.
Right.
It's wonderful. Is
Thank
there
you
any-
both so much for having me. I've
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
this.
It's been a pleasure. And we thank our listeners as well for joining us here today. If you've enjoyed what you've heard with our discussion here with Robin today, be sure to check out the notes and information and share this with someone else you know. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast so that we know what information's been helpful to you and what you'd like to hear more of. And if you struggle with finding peace and calm in your day, if you start to panic about feeling overwhelmed, we invite you to explore Don's EFT Discovery Series. EFT can be described as weird, but when people work with Don, they discover, wow, this tapping can do what for me? And find it really helpful. So check out our information on our website about Don's EFT Discovery. And if you're facing the challenges of caring for an aged loved one, like we're discussing here today, check out our senior care page on our website for support, resources, and guidance. You can find out wellness tips, caregiver insights, and more helpful tools at focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can join us on social media, Focused Healthy Family at Facebook, on Instagram, Focused Healthy Family 1, and on YouTube at Focused Healthy Family. And we air our podcast every Thursday, so join us for the next episode. You can also go directly to our podcast at focusedhealthyfamilypodcast.com. You can listen on your favorite platform, as well as watch and listen on YouTube. And remember, how you speak to your children and your loved ones today shapes their future and yours.